Hi guys, it's Emily from Novel Novels and welcome to today's video. This is my September wrap up part 1 and I am doing a lot better than last month. The kids are back at school. Health wise I'm getting back on track because I'm resting more, so I'm able to get my knee better. Anxiety, it was really bad at the start of the month and it's starting to get tackled now. As you well see on my Instagram stories, I am doing things to push myself. I am challenging myself. I'm determined to get back out of it. Unfortunately, I'm still not sleeping great, so this does mean that I get more tired, and this does mean I'm going to be a bit more gentle on my books for the rest of the month. I have a plan. Gemma is in on this plan, and that is that what I'm going to do is that at bedtime I'm going to read my contemporaries, but I'm going to go through my bookshelves. So I'm going to read a book from the top shelf, then on the second, and then on the third. So in the evenings, once I've got through those books, that way it'll clear my shelf space. And then I'm going Tudor, next historical fiction, and next one after that. I've done my thriller for the month, done my non-fiction, don't need to push myself any more than that. I'm going to be gentle. So let's see how that goes on the ratings on the second half. Because the ratings on the first half are amazing. I have got a total of 6 5-star books, 2 4.5, 5 4-star books, only 2 3-stars, 1 DNF and 1 unrated. So that's not doing badly, is it? Though, first things first, I will show you the books that I'm currently reading. These are the books I've got to get through tonight or to the rest of the day. So I'm nearly finished my week's pages on The Return of the Native, which I'm buddy reading with the lovely Gemma from Read a Book Gem. Oh, and I will say I'm enjoying this a lot more than my Anthony Trollope book. I've got about 30 pages to read today, and then that's this week's pages caught up on that. Definitely like the characters in this. Thomasine and Eustacia By, and this is the story of Mistress Yeobright and the men who influence and alter their lives. It's kind of like a love square. It's really good. You've got Diggory Ben, Clemry Yeobright, and Damon Wildaver. Ooh, it's intriguing. It's exciting. Quite enjoying this actually. This is probably one of the best classics I've read in a while. Definitely like Hardy's work, and now can totally and utterly see why Tori from Hufflepuff Discovery likes Hardy. I'm reading Exciting Times by Neve Dolan, and I've got today's pages to read, then tomorrow, and then Friday. So the day this goes up will be the last day on this. And I'm actually enjoying this a bit more than I thought. Can definitely see the references between this and the Sally Rooney book that I've just read. But it's really quite, I didn't think I'd like it. The first day I was like, oh, this is a bit boring. It's a bit too much like Sally Rooney. But when you get into it, it's actually getting better. You've got Julian on the badly paid job. So this is about Ava leaves Ireland to make her own money. She tries to make her own future. She becomes teaching at the grammar school for rich kids in Hong Kong. Then you've got Julian, who likes to spend money on Ava and she moves her into his guest room. And then you've got Edith, who Ava meets while Julian is out of town. And this is the bit that I really love. I love Edith. I don't want to give spoilers away. I love Edith. It's my first buddy read with Maria, and it's really enjoyable. I can't wait to get to today's page of this, which will be my next one. Then I've got to finish Only You by Kate Everman. Apparently I should have read Miss You first, because Miss You apparently has got better reviews. So I will be reading that soon. That's on my shelves as well. My sister Charlie read that. This is one of my extra books for the month. And no, this is one of the ones that was on TBR, sorry. It's good. It's all right. I'm not sure. It's definitely got better in the second half. In fact, it's got to the point where in the second half, I really can't wait to read today's pages. It's about Letty and Alfred, the only English speakers at an Italian class in Rome. But there are some serious triggers in this, so please be warned. I won't tell you the triggers unless you ask for them. But be warned, there are some triggers, and obviously I'll talk more about it in my wrap-up part 2. But it's a really good book. I can't wait to read it. The one that Charlie gave me that I'm reading for Shorty September. Oh, I don't like this. I'm sorry, Charlie. I read it one day, and I'm going to try and read like 50 pages or 100 pages a day to try and read the short stories gradually. None of them so far have jumped out at me. They may well jump out at me, so I will read a few more later on today. And then I'm going to be picking up a Tudor book for my Tudor shelf. So for Tudor September, I thought I'd read another extra Tudor book for Tudor September. I'm trying to participate in all these. So yeah, I'll let you know how it goes. So those are the books I'm currently reading and the ones, and I'll let you know that I'll be starting might have already been read by the time this goes up. Who knows the way I go? But my book that I didn't rate this month, because I don't rate non-fiction, is The Girl from Nowhere, especially not autobiographical non-fiction. This is very hard-hitting. Again, there are some serious triggers in this for some serious things. Again, I don't tell you triggers without you knowing, but there are triggers in this. Be warned going in, you have got to be really prepared for them. Very hard-hitting. It's about my mother is a prostitute, my great-grandmother and great-grandmother is a prostitute. It was only right for me to join them. But I was given a way out. At 13, I was trafficked to London in a washing machine box, where I thought my dreams had come true. But my dreams soon turned into nightmares. Very, very hard-hitting. Beautifully written, and you really feel for the girl, but very, very hard-hitting. But I don't rate it, so I'm going bye-byes. I got this done. It's for my series read-along of the anti-Charlotte books, The Small House at Allington. Do you know what? This is a big book. It's over 600 pages. Been reading it over 2 months. The 5th in the Barchester Chronicles, and it talks about Lily Dale, Trollope's most admired heroine. I do like Lily Dale. And they've got the ambitious, self-seeking Crosby, crushed by his faithfulness, and she tries unsuccessfully to conceal her grief. And then you've got the honest suitor, Johnny Eames, is sentences her to a life in spinsterhood. It's all right, but you don't know. If you ask me many questions about it, I probably won't be able to tell you much about it, because it's gone probably in one ear and out the other. Or in one eye and out the other. But, you know, I've only got one eye, so... But, yeah, it's all right. I just am really seriously... To me, the Barchester Chronicles, the first 2 books were amazing. And I've enjoyed them less and less as I've gone in. So I'm hoping that next month I'll pick up the last bit and it'll be good. But I'm seriously debating whether I keep this series, because it's not as good as I hoped it would be at the start. The Barchester Chronicles I thoroughly loved. The Warden I adored. They're both amazing books. But since then I've just not connected. And I don't know if it's just my headspace or what, but no. Anyway, my 3-star book, first of my 3 stars, and it's this, and it's by Ian Porter. Apparently he's written another book called Whitechapel, and the character Nash, and there's a character in this called Nash who is in the Whitechapel, which I may pick up if I see it, because his character was quite good. But I think I'm reading too many suffragette books. I think I'm done with them for a while. They're too hard-hitting. I'm hearing about what the women went through when they starved themselves in prison, about how they were already raped basically by the machines to give food into them, and it's horrific. And so again, some of this bits in here, but there's bits that I've seen in all the other books. And there's, yes, the character in this, the leading lady in this is fictional, but obviously a lot of the other characters are factual that were in the suffragette movement. And what they went through is still hard hitting, but this was just going over old ground, but just adding new characters. So it's 3 stars. It starts off about the Titanic, and the lady in this was on the Titanic, and she obviously survived, and it's about her. But I've read again too many books on the Titanic recently, so I'm just avoiding that area of history for now. But let's go and bye-byes. That one's got to be kept because obviously it's a series. Then I read Eliza Rose by Lucy Worsley, which was a lovely YA Tudor fiction. Again, I'm not going to keep it because it's another Tudor fiction. I don't need all my Tudor fiction books. But this is Eliza Camperdown is young and headstrong, and she knows her duty well. As the only daughter of a noble family, she must one day marry a man who is very grand and very rich. But fate has other plans. Eliza becomes a maid of honour and drawn into the thrilling, treacherous court of Henry VIII in Catherine Howard's court. So that's how she's connected. It's an alright book, and I'm really glad I read it. But it's not one I'm going to keep, so just don't need that. It's alright, but again, it's very much a YA Tudor, so it's alright. Just don't think I'll reread it. But that was actually, that was my first of my 4-star books, because it is good, and it does sort of talk about, Eliza Rose is actually a fictional character in the Tudor court, but it connects her to the factual characters of Catherine Howard, who I don't like. Catherine Howard, she's probably one of the queens that she's probably my least favourite of the queens. Maybe one day I'll do a ranking of the Queen Henry VIII. Would you like me to do a video on that, actually, by the way, guys? Would you like me to do a video on my Tudor queens, which one I liked out of Henry's wives? Should I do a ranking video on that? Let me know in the comments, but I'd love to know that. But yeah, Catherine Howard is definitely sneaky peek my least favourite. So on to another Tudor book, which was for Tudor-tember, and it also worked for Series September. It also worked for my series books of the year. The Queen's Fall by Philippa Gregory. This is my battered copy, but I think Gemma still wants it. Sorry, Gemma, you're going to get a battered copy. But this is about actually a fictional character called Hannah, who was a young Jewish girl on the run from the Inquisition, and she becomes involved in a factual character called Robert Dudley, who we all know about Robert Dudley, and she was sent to be a holy fool and to spy on Princess Mary, and while Princess Elizabeth waits for her fate. I saw a different side to Mary in this, which is another reason why it's 4 rather than 3, because it really shows that Mary wasn't as bad as everyone makes out. Everyone makes out her mad side and her vengeful side, because obviously she was cast aside for Elizabeth. But you see a softer side in her in this, and all that she went through, and the way I think this is done beautifully in the way it puts in the way that the Jews were treated as well at the Tudor time, and how they were sort of seen and really abused. You also see some very hard-hitting things that happened in France in this time. It's quite an interesting book. 4 stars, not one I'm going to keep, but it was actually a lot more interesting than I thought it would be, and better than the predecessor to this. So glad I read that. But that's going to thingy. Then I've got my next 4-star book, which is Conversations with Friends by Sally Rooney, which I've already read with the lovely Chloe from Chloe Reads Books. I enjoyed this more than normal people, and I got told that you either like normal people or you like Conversation with Friends. Started off not liking it very much. Lack of speech mark really bugged me, which happened in another book that I've just finished. And so you really had to go over what you were reading, because I'm quite a speed reader, as you well gathered. But with the fact there's no speech marks, you had to really go over and over and over it. It is really interesting. It's very thought-provoking. I would say that you have to really, again, there are some real triggers in this, and you have to really think about what you're reading. Politics is discussed in a way that it doesn't need to be, but there are some lovely characters, and it's quite intriguing, quite interesting, and one I definitely recommend. If you didn't like ordinary people and you weren't sure about Sally Rooney, pick up Conversation with Friends. You may get a bit more out of it. Very much, really gets you thinking about Ireland and the way that people are in this. And Frances is 21, and she's a cool-headed observational student in Dublin and an aspiring writer. She performs spoken word with her best friend Bobby, and Bobby's the character I like the most in this, actually. He used to be her girlfriend. So Bobby's actually my favourite character in this. But yeah, did enjoy reading it. Not one I'm going to keep, but I definitely enjoyed it. Then my library book, and the most recent one I've literally just finished, is The Other Half of Augusta Hope. I picked up at the library, and Gemma rated it very highly on Goodreads, and it's really interesting. I'm glad I picked this one up first, because I've got another book up there that I will be reading. But this is Augusta Hope never felt like she fits in. At 6, she's mesmerising the dictionary. At 7, she's correcting her teachers. At 8, she spins a globe and picks her favourite country on the sound of its name, Burundi. Now she's an adult, Augusta has no interest in the goings-on of the small town where she lives, with her parents and her beloved twin sister Julia. When an unspeakable tragedy upends everything in Augusta's life, she's propelled headfirst into the unknown and determined to find out where she belongs. This is very interesting, but it's very hard-hitting. Again, I flew through it, finished it last night, but for the last 100 pages, I was crying quite a bit because it was really, really hard-hitting. It's about the fact that your family's fitting in, and the way the siblings are treated, the way the twins are treated by their mother, that one is the favouritised twin. It's very hard-hitting. And then you have another another male character. I thought it was female, but it's actually male, called Parfait. I've spelt that wrong. Pronounced that wrong. Parfait, sorry. Who is the character in Burundi. And how the two storylines interlink confused me quite a lot until the end. And when it did connect, you were like, oh, they're the dots that I didn't see connecting. And that's the bit that. Totally see why Gemma rated it 4 stars and enjoyed it. One I'm very glad I picked up, and one I will definitely look to more of this author's work because I really enjoyed it. Let's go back to the library. Then my last 4-star book is one that I listened to on audiobook, which finally, the kids are back at school, I can listen to audiobooks again. I listened to A Mother's Secret by Kitty Neal, which is the first in a series, but the series, it's a new release, so this next one won't come out for a while, but I will look out for the next one. And it's a wartime historical fiction, very lovely, real strong characters, about family not being blood again and family being found, and oh, it's lovely. Again, there are triggers in this, so please be warned going in that you've got to be aware of the fact there are triggers. So in any of the books that I've talked about with triggers, please let me know in the comments below if you want to know what they are. Then my 4.5 star book is Freckles by Cecilia Ahern, which I got sent for a read along with the lovely guys at Tandem. It lost half a star because there's no bloody speech marks, okay? And again, it has a trigger that I was not aware of going in, and I think I needed to probably... The trigger happens very soon, early on, but you need to be aware of it. So I'm going to put the trigger... Actually, I can't because it's not on Scoring Off, so I can't put the trigger. Again, if you want it to know about it, let me know. But this is a fantastic book. It was one I actually wanted to buy on Amazon, so the fact that I got it for free by Tandem was just a dream come true. It got me thinking, and I've got my proper review is on Goodreads, so I'm not going to go too much in because this is already at 15 minutes and I've still got my 5-star books to talk about. 5 people, 5 chances, 1 woman's search for happiness. A local bird's arms are scattered with Freckles, a nickname from her beloved father. But despite her nickname, Freckles has never been able to join the dot. So when a stranger tells her that everybody is the average of the 5 people they spend the most time with, it opens up something deep inside. And we follow her going on a journey to find those 5 people. They're not the 5 people she thinks are at the start, and the 5 people at the end are not the ones at the start. And that's very interesting because there's only one person that's consistent, and how she finds her 5 people, and it's really beautifully written. And there is so many, the story card, the cards I got, the prompt cards I got in this were brilliant because they really got me thinking. So they're obviously on my stories, and if you look at the Freckles read along, they'll be on my stories from there. But they really got me thinking, and who my 5 people are. Yeah, they are on my stories who I've written. I did also say my 5 people that I've most wanted at the dinner table. I did include page 2, my favourite author, because she's just amazing. But my 5 people that are in my life now, but are they? But like I said in my last story, I say that you aren't just, to me, yes, I've got my 5 people, and I actually really struggled to think about 5 people that I'm really close to, but because you can't actually include your family bar 1. So I've got a very close bond with my family, and I think my family are more than my 5. Like my mum and my other sister, and I didn't include Chris, my partner, or I didn't include my kids. And my kids have a bearing on who I am. They are what make me me. So that's where I sort of disagree with that. But the book is beautifully written, and it's one I'm keeping, and it's actually going on my shelf. So I've got to go and find some space. By the way, a little hint, I just went book buying yesterday, and I've got to go and find space for them as well. So this is exciting. I'm rearranging my contemporary shelves today. So my other 4.5 star books was a book that the reason why it's 4.5 stars is because I'm not keeping it because it's got too many triggers in this. Okay, it's The Last Hours by Minette Waters. Obviously, it's set at the time of the Black Death, intuitive times, and obviously with everything that we've just been through with COVID, there was a lot of triggers. And as it's set in England in 1348, as the Black Death spreads throughout the country, people start dying by the thousands. And there's in the Dorset, young Lady Anne takes control of the lands. I love Lady Anne's character. She's a strong-willed character, and I thoroughly loved her. But this is very hard. She decides to quarantine in Tyre Estates against the terrifying pestilence, which is obviously what we've been through. We all went through the quarantine and isolating and everything else. But in confined spaces, conflicts soon arise. Lady Anne is my favourite character in this. But, oh God, it took me a while to get into, but I'm glad I read it first. It really hit me. It's a beautiful copy, but I don't think I can keep it because I don't think I can reread that without getting myself upset. Then, now I'm on to my 5-star books. And yet again, because I've got 6, I want you to predict. I think I'm picking 2 favourites, but I'm still trying to decide between the 2. Which one of those will be on my favourites part 2? I'd like to know. I'd like you to see if you can guess which of these 6 is going to be my favourite, and which of these 6 is going to be one of my favourites, and which do you think will go on to my favourites next on the part 2, because only one ever goes over to part 2. So the first is my second in the series of Jenny Colgan's The Endless Beach, the Mia series. By the way, sorry guys about my washing machine. I thought I'd shut the door, but I haven't. I thoroughly loved it. Read this for series September. I wanted to get this read as well because obviously I wanted to read the next book in the series at Christmas time, because she's got a Christmas book that's out. Oh, I can't tell you too much about it because it's got connections with the first series. But Flora is in this from the first book in the series, but we've also got her friend Lorna, who's pining for her local doctor, Scythe, who comes to save who comes to the island as a refugee, and their storyline is different, and that connects it so well because it's really so hard hitting but so good. And oh my god, at the end of this I was sobbing my heart out as well for different reasons. Oh, this is really good. Love this book. It's better than the first one even though the first one was 5 stars. This is keepy. This is bloody good. Thoroughly loved it. Then I read my middle grade book because I'm also trying to read a middle grade book every month. 1,000-Year-Old Boy by Ross Welford. Now I believe that the lovely Jack from Spread Bookjoy has loved this. She said she liked it, and it's 5 stars for a middle grade. How amazing is that? Alfie Monk is like every other nearly teenage boy, except for the fact he's 1,000 years old and can remember the last Viking invasion of England. So when everything Alfie knows and loves is destroyed in a fire, the modern world comes crashing in, and Alfie embarks on a mission to find friendship, acceptance, and a different way to live. This has got historical fiction elements in it, it's got fantasy elements in it, it's got excitement in it, it's got about friendship in it, and I thoroughly bloody love this. Don't know whether to keep it. I don't know whether to keep it or not. I really can't decide, but it's really, really good. I think even though it's 5 stars, will I reread another middle grade? Because I want to try and it's really enjoyable. Definitely recommend Ross Welford's book, but I don't think I'll reread it. So even though it's 5 stars, I won't keep it. But it's really good. Then my Leanne Moriarty book, because you guys know I love Leanne Moriarty. I read this with Gaia from Gaia Athena. Leanne Moriarty has not let me down. This is a thoroughly brilliant book. It was 5 stars all the way. It was about triplets Lynn, Kat and Gemma, and their 33rd birthday is what starts, and then we go on, and then events that happen on that birthday, and there's a big thing that happens, and you want to find out who the big thing was about, and then you go back to the start, and then you follow through. What I love the most about this book is that it doesn't idolise sistership. It doesn't idolise sibling relationships. Because siblings fight. God, do I fight with my sisters, especially my youngest sister. I fight with her like cat and dog. We still do. And we're like in our 30s and 40s. And it's about very different sisters, their own battles, their own obstacles that they face, their own tragedies. It puts parenthood in a very real way. It puts relationships very real. And about grief, and then you've also got abuse, and you've got so many amazing things, and it's woven together so well. And it's got a sensible Lynn, and you've got Kat, whose perfect marriage is the envy of her friends and never suspects that her husband has been having an affair. And you've got directionist Gemma, who changes jobs and boyfriends, then she meets a man, and that man changes things. Bloody good. Thoroughly love that. Then we got my TBR jar, and my TBR jar finally did good. This is brilliant. Ali McNamara, whose work I am actually going to give this to my mum to read first, and I think I'm going to have it back and keep it. How many lifetimes would you travel to find a love that's lasts forever? TBR jar did good. Jojo steps on a zebra crossing, and then she finds herself in 1963. She has lessons to learn there. She has a connecting character. There's 3 connecting characters from her present life to all of the other timelines. How they connect is exceptional. I can't tell you too much. Spoilers, but she first ends up in 1963. She learns stuff there. Then she finds out. Then she's in the 1970s, 1980s, and 1990s. The only people she can rely on are Harry and Ellie, the 2 companions from 2013. Although Harry isn't much in 2013. And then George, the owner of the second-hand record store. God, by the way, the ending on this literally made me sob my heart out. It's so blooming good. Thoroughly loved that. Then the penultimate of my 5, A Mother Forever by the lovely Elaine Everest. This was my birthday present from Mia. This completed, even though it's a prequel to the series, I'm casting it as my completion for the series. Although I've since found out that she's got another book in the Woolworths Girls series that's coming out next year in March, which of course I'll be buying. Dangerous, this also, because bloody loved it. I knew I would love this character. But this is about who's the grandmother in the Woolworths Girls, Ruby Castleton, and she's just 25 years old at the start of this, heavily pregnant with her second child, penniless and exhausted, moving her family into a new home, which is the home she ends up staying in for the Woolworths Girls. Her husband Eddie has promised he'll keep on to his job, but he's keeping a secret, one that's so dark he can't bear to tell Ruby. And then you go with Ruby through quite a lot of time, up to I think it's gone past 1914, so I think it'll go up to like from 1905 to 1916, I think. And then right at the end, you go into the bit where we actually meet the end of the last book of the Woolworths Girls. And it's so good. I love hearing about Ruby. I love hearing what made Ruby the character that we love in the Woolworths Girls series. I love the fact we meet Eddie, who had died just before the start of the Woolworths Girls series. And oh, it's so good. I thoroughly love this book. Recommend it to everybody. Thoroughly loved it. Now, the last book on my 5-star books is The Holiday by T.M. Logan. This is the thriller. I told you I'd pick up a thriller, and this is the best thriller I've read so far this year. And it's absolutely amazing. It's T.M. Logan. I read The Catch by T.M. Logan last year. You know me in thrillers. I'm the world's biggest friggin' wimp. But I love this. I can't tell you. 7 days, 3 families, 1 killer. And this is every bit of the hard-hitting book that you expect it to be. Thrilling, exciting, mysterious, dark but not gory. My perfect kind of thriller. I'm going to look for all of the T.M. Logan's books because it had me on the edge of the seat. It had me creepy, but I flew through it. That's it. I'm done. What do you guys think are going to be my favourites? Let's see what you think. Give you a couple of minutes. All of those, by the way, I struggled to think about my favourite this month. Any one of those 6 could be my favourite. So to be honest, whatever you guess is going to be right. But I'm going to surprise myself because I flew through it in first days. The first one is going to be The Holiday. I'm not keeping it because I don't keep thrillers. This was incredible. And then obviously the one that's pretty obvious to those of you that know me and love me, Mother Forever by Elaine Everest. This gave me all the hugs in the books and I loved it. But it was a lot more hard-hitting than the Woolworths Girls series, so be warned. But I loved it. It's a book that I'm so glad Mia got me, and it's one I will definitely be rereading. Loved it. So, let me know in the comments below. First of all, I know I'm going to give you some challenges to put in the comments below if you remember any of them. Do you want me to rank my Tudor Queens? I'd love to know if you do. What did you think was my favourite? Because I'd love to know that. And what's been your favourite book of the month? I would love to know. I love your comments. Your comments really make me so happy and you're all absolutely amazing. Anyway, guys, I will shoot off for now. Sorry again, it's another very long video. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. If you're new to my channel and not subscribed yet, ring on my ding-a-ling. And I'll see you all soon. Bye-bye.